Hi, this is Ren, and this is All Walks of Film. So, James Gunn recently got fired for making some rather offensive tweets over 5 years ago. A lot of the tweets were pedophilic in nature in a joking manner, but Disney just cut it off after that. Over the past couple weeks, it's been revealed that alt-right conspiracy theorist Mike Cernovich was one of the main proponents bringing up these tweets that James Gunn apologized for already, but were something that a lot of fans of James Gunn, a lot of fans of Guardians of the Galaxy, and Disney people may not have known about. Though I think with it being like 5 years ago, I find it very hard that Disney did not know about this. You know, James Gunn is an edgy kind of comedian, and this is coming right off the heels of jokes that were made after the whole Catholic scandal. Came out in the early 2000s. If you saw the movie Spotlight, it was mostly about that. And I'm sure if you grew up around that time, there were a lot of jokes about Catholic priests and that sort of thing. Now, we live in a different time where people are much more offended by crass humor. And I can see some of the tweets that James Gunn wrote, not being acceptable, like if he said them while working for Disney. But the truth of the matter is, he wrote these when he wasn't working for Disney, and he's already made up for it. I think it's a little bit ridiculous. And I also think it's really sad that Disney is going to be losing a director. A lot of people have suggested that Taika Waititi, the director of Thor Ragnarok, take on the mantle of Guardians of the Galaxy 3 because, he has a similar style of humor. But Guardians of the Galaxy really is James Gunn's baby. And I think that while it would be fun to see a Taika Waititi Guardians of the Galaxy 3, I really would like to see James Gunn get rehired. And because of this, some of the fans have actually spoken out, and there's been a petition to get James Gunn rehired. But perhaps more importantly, there was a letter written by the cast of Guardians of the Galaxy that I want to read for you and sort of respond to. An open letter from the cast of Guardians of the Galaxy. To our fans and friends, we fully support James Gunn. We were all shocked by his abrupt firing last week, and we have intentionally waited these 10 days to respond in order to think, pray, listen, and discuss. In that time, we've been encouraged by the outpouring of support from fans and members of the media who wish to see James reinstated as director of Volume 3, as well discouraged by those so easily duped into believing the many outlandish conspiracy theories surrounding him. For those of you who are unaware, since the fact that a lot of the jokes were pedophilic in nature, there are people that are insinuating, not even insinuating, just outright calling James Gunn a pedophile and saying that, like, oh, well, he made these jokes, and since, Corey Feldman, talked about there being, sort of an underground pedophilic ring in Hollywood, which may very well be so, that James Gunn is like a part of this. And, there's a big difference between making jokes about something that's uncomfortable to talk about and like actually being a pedophile. And I want to make that very clear. Now, if it comes out that James Gunn has committed acts and all that kind of stuff, like, obviously, throw the book at him, take back everything I said in defense of him. But, just for writing, offensive jokes, really? We live in a country with free speech, and now I know what free speech means in this country. That is, free from legal oppression of the government, controlling speech. But, when so many people are getting fired for having an opinion or making this wrong joke and this wrong joke, it doesn't matter that we have free speech laws if, you have to literally watch everything that you say because you could, get fired. That's how I see it. I know that there are going to be some other people that might think differently about that, but that's what I think. Being in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies has been a great honor in each of our lives. We cannot let this moment pass without expressing our love, support, and gratitude for James. We are not here to defend his jokes of many years ago, but rather to share our experience, having spent many years together in making Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2. The character that he has shown in the wake of his firing is consistent with the man he was every day on set. And his apology, now and from years ago, when first addressing these remarks, we believe is from the heart, a heart we all know, trust, and love. In casting each of us to help him tell the story of misfits who find redemption, he changed our lives forever. We believe the theme of redemption has never been more relevant than now. Each of us looks forward to working with our friend James again in the future. His story isn't over, not by a long shot. There is a little due process in the court of public opinion. James is likely not to be the last good person to be put on trial. Given the growing political divide in this country, it's safe to say instances like this will continue. Although we hope Americans from across the political spectrum can ease up on the character assassinations and stop weaponizing mob mentality. Now, getting onto this, I know that there was some backlash because James Gunn, spoke very poorly of critics of the 8th Star Wars film, The Last Jedi. He said that fans that were upset about the Star Wars film were mentally ill. And, that's kind of been the general consensus about any criticism towards that film. And I was really upset with those comments because I think that no film, no matter how high its caliber or whatever, even if it's progressive or whatever, is not able to be criticized. Even some of my favorite films, I can, still see its criticism. And it seems like with The Last Jedi, you are immediately labeled, part of the alt-right if you have like some issue with it. Although I would say that it's not very progressive in the context of the film. So I don't really know what people are trying to defend with that film other than the fact that they liked it and they feel that the film holds more merit than some of its critics might claim. It's our hope that what has transpired can serve as an example for all of us to realize the enormous responsibility we have to ourselves and to each other regarding the use of our written words when we etch them into digital stone. That we as a society may learn from this experience and in the future will think twice before we decide what we want to express, and in so learning perhaps can harness this ability to help and heal instead of hurting each other. Thank you for taking the time to read our words. The Guardians of the Galaxy, signed by Chris Pratt, Zoe Saldana, Dave Bautista, Karen Gillian, Bradley Cooper, Sean Gunn, his brother, Pam Clementieff, and Michael Rooker. So I thought that was a very heartfelt letter. I think that the community that the Guardians of the Galaxy cast and crew have had together has been wonderful and, has provided a much different feel, something that was needed for the MCU to kind of mix it up a little bit. I really hope that Disney can look at this and seriously consider rehiring James Gunn. Obviously, I understand that they wouldn't be allowed to tolerate any of this style of humor in his films, nor in the public from now on. But I really think that what the cast insinuated in the letter was that, this is a time for redemption, and that James Gunn is a man who is deserving of one. It's really interesting because right now, it almost seems that redemption stories are taboo to a certain sense, and I'm not really sure why. I know that people are so militant to their causes, and it's really frustrating seeing both sides of, both extreme sides of the political spectrum, and I'm just looking at them like they're complete idiots and they're ruining everything. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the extreme right that tries to be gross and just try to ruin people's lives, and do it on exposing the hypocrisy of people, which is kind of like what seems to be done here. Like, I understand, I'm frustrated with what James Gunn said about Star Wars, but like at the same time, like I don't think that he should lose his career over this. And when it comes to the left, I mean, I've been so frustrated with the left over like the past like 3 to 5 years, especially when the social justice movement, social justice warriors and all that kind of stuff like started coming out of the woodworks, because like I think that being progressive is good. This is my own ideology that I'm talking about. I think progressivism is good, but like at the same time, like I got sick and tired of just like just the constant onslaught of, oh, you're a white male, you don't understand. Well, first of all, I'm part white, part Latino, but I understand that's how you see me. But it's just so frustrating because you just want to sit down with people and say, like, I understand that you have these biases, but at least my understanding of what it means to be liberal is looking past bias and looking at the person inside. Now, there's some conservatives. There's some great conservatives who have done this as well. Mr. Rogers, if you've seen Won't You Be My Neighbor, is a prime example of this. And, looking at this letter, looking at the tweets, I just really hope that people can understand that I'm not trying to condone anything that James Gunn said. What I am saying is that I would really like us to look at it as words and not action, like Harvey Weinstein and Bill Cosby and several of the other people who have been accused in the Me Too movement, and people who have been accused but also had like substantial evidence against them, because I do understand that there is a notion that somebody's words, somebody accusing somebody of something can actually have power when actions haven't been done. But from my understanding, James Gunn, other than saying some bad stuff, hasn't really done anything. And I really hope he gets rehired. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for listening. And if there's another topic you'd like to see me discuss, put it in the comments below. Follow me on Twitter at All Walks of Film, or Facebook, also All Walks of Film. Or you can support us on Patreon. That's patreon.com/allwalksofilm. Keep holding your heads high.